what it really takes to get that dream job as an airline pilot? Well, it's more than just flying skills, and we're going to talk about that in this episode. Hi, my name is Carl Valeri, and I'm an aviation career coach and podcast host here on Aviation Careers Podcast. One of the things that people ask me is, how do we go about trying to land that airline job and that elusive airline job right now? Well, I'll tell you what. Persistence. Persistence truly pays to land that job. And we're going to go into some detail as to what you need to do to actually finally land that job. So finally, let's start off with, why the airlines are so picky. Who are those gatekeepers? Well, just remember this, that you're actually being asked to fly this large aircraft with many different people's lives in your hands, and there's a lot of responsibility there. So they want to make sure they get the right person in that flight deck, and that's one of the reasons. So we need to have more than just flying skills, right? We need to have, obviously flying skills are very important, but we need to have some other things like decision-making processes and being able to, work under pressure and adapting under pressure. And we're going to try to figure that out actually during some of the interview process. And the other part of this too is that the airlines are not just looking for somebody who's adaptable, has the flying skills. They also want to seek somebody with some character, some integrity, absolutely some integrity. So it's not just those qualifications. So that's a big part of this. So these are the gatekeepers. They're the people that are looking at the airlines, and why they're actually picky is because you got to remember, you're the person that's also representing the brand. And when you're flying on the line and you're the captain of the flight, you're on your own. I mean, there's nobody there holding your hand, et cetera. There's no direction. You can't have a committee. It's just you over the ocean, hundreds of miles from land, and you're going to have to make a decision if something happens. And that's why they want to find somebody who can make those good decisions. So let's talk about how to get into the airlines. What is the quote-unquote price of admission? First of all, you really need to invest in your future. So there is some financial realities to this whole thing. There are training costs, certifications. There's also the endless renewals and that type of thing. And those are the type of things that we would love to help out with our scholarships guide, obviously, and also, of course, from our sponsor, that's Stratus Financial. Visit our sponsor, Stratus Financial, where dreams take flight. Stratus Financial offers loans for pilot training, and they understand your needs because they're pilots. You can find out more at stratus.finance. Whether you're financing your dream of flying or simplifying the process by taking care of your student loans, their efficient, hassle-free funding can connect you to the life of your dreams of becoming a professional pilot sooner than you ever thought possible. Visit them at stratus.finance. As a sponsor of this podcast, Stratus Financial is giving away scholarships guides, and you can get yours for free by using the coupon code STRATUS. Visit aviationcareerspodcast.com/free and use that coupon code STRATUS. Again, and please visit our sponsor, stratus.finance. They actually are giving away some scholarships guides too using that coupon code Stratus, and they're just wonderful people that are trying to help people get in the cockpit. There's many other people out there that do loans, but they're one of the folks that have partnered with us. But make sure you also look at our scholarships guide, because that will help you possibly get some training for free, or all your training for free possibly. But just remember, it's going to cost you, could be anywhere from $50 all the way up to $150,000 for all your certification. It's a wide range. Well, it depends on what you do and where you start. You could go as low as that 50 where you become a light sport flight instructor, and then move along into the actual flight instructor and other certified aircraft, and then on up to being a pilot at a regional airline, and then from there. So those are all that's paying the price for entry into the large jet operators. There's also this time commitment, and you've heard me say this. Give yourself 3 to 5 years to get to your goal in aviation and being whatever it may be. We're going to talk airline pilot, corporate pilot, whatever, but also give it 5 to 10 years to get to that ultimate goal. Meaning, what's that ultimate goal? We're going to have to define that. And that's what we do a lot with our career coaching. And that is usually the captain slot at a major airline, or the captain slot at maybe a corporate jet, or private or a regional type of flying, or business flying. So whatever that is, and we need to define that. There's also another part of this, that there is another cost, right, that we don't talk about. There's that emotional toll, and you've heard me talk about, sharing this with your family and your friends, and telling and share with the people that are going to help you, of course, but also share with them not just the rewards and all these big surprises that you have along the way and accomplishments, but also you're going to feel a lot of rejection, dejection, and we need to know how to deal with that, because that's going to happen, especially right now in this tight market, and we're in 2025 as far as the hiring environment is. So make sure you have a lot of belief in yourself, and I have a lot of belief in you. What we need to do is make sure you do, and you have a lot going for you. And we need to kind of dig deep in ourselves to find out, what our value is, and realize that rejection letter, whatever that may be, it doesn't reflect upon the whole self. It's just saying something about the marketplace, possibly. It might be saying something about our qualifications, that we don't have them yet. Maybe we need more flight time. And then possibly it might be saying, if it's obviously a check ride failure, it's something about our skills that we need to hone up on. But just remember, whatever it is, it can be resolved and we can move forward from that. So make sure you do that. And now that we're on that subject, if we do have those setbacks, they're really, and you hear me talk about this all the time, it's really important to keep having persistence in whatever it is you do. Remember that nobody starts off as a pilot at an airline. Just flick a switch. Oh, you're an airline pilot. You fill out a certificate, and now you're an airline pilot. It takes a long time to get there. And along that way, when you're honing any skill, whether it's playing baseball, tennis, soccer, golf, you're not the best golfer the day you start, nor are you the best golfer weeks or months in. You have to constantly hone those skills. So remember that. You need to have persistence in constantly going out there, training and retraining, because this is something that's going to happen. Along the way, you're going to have some rejections, right? So along with, when we hit the golf ball wrong, that's almost like a rejection, right? We're not going to land our dream possibly on that first try. Well, we have to learn how to deal with that and how to speak to ourselves. So there's many people who have had many different rejections and have been able to turn their lives around. I know when I started in this industry and I sent my applications out to the regional airlines, everybody came out with rejections. I was plastering my wall with my rejection letters until one day someone gave me an interview. I was so excited, but I wouldn't let those rejection letters get me down, because again, that was a time when it was very difficult to get into the airlines. It changed, just like it's going to change in the future. But just remember, you have to keep on trying, because if you don't keep on trying, there's no way you're going to get there. You have to be in this race to actually win the race. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to stay and keep putting those applications out, even if you've been rejected. The other part of that that's a little more nuanced, of course, is from these failures, from these rejections, we need to redefine that approach, whatever it may be. Maybe you go to an airline and you have 2,500 hours and you have 1,000 PIC turbine and they still reject you. Well, why is that? There's some reasons possibly. And if you can find the reason, if the recruiter is honest with you and says, hey, listen, you only have like 2,500 hours and we're looking for 3,000, that's great. Now we know that we need to refine ourselves by getting an extra 500 hours. Maybe it's the way we flew the approach on that simulator. Maybe it's the way that we chair flew the approach. And that might be something we need to change. There's all these different ways of refining, but every time we have those challenges, we refine who we are as a pilot, and we consistently redefine who we are by doing more training. And we're a different pilot today than we were when we didn't pass that interview or we were rejected for that. And it really is important to realize that we keep getting better as we move forward. I know some of you are thinking, gosh, it's really hard to get hours. Many instructors are not getting many hours, and people are flying business aviation, maybe doing 10, 20, 30 hours a month. But that's a lot more than what you had last month. But what you need to do is refine that now. Consistently look forward, but also remember, what a blessing it is to have exactly what you have right now, and make sure you realize that what you have is helping you. So don't get rid of that, the goose that laid the golden egg. Keep getting those hours and building those hours. The other part of this, I think, that's really important is during that journey is listen to some other people, but people that want to help you. And I think that's where mentorship is really important, or having a supportive community. And that's what we do, with our mentorship program. You can go to aviationcareerspodcast.com/mentorship. And we actually have this community where it's a fairly low bar to entry, but one of the big bars is the fact that you have to be very positive. There's no negativity there. We do constructive criticism. But one thing that you have to realize when you do look for your mentors, or you look for those communities, make sure it's a closed group that really wants to help you. There's a lot of communities online that can devolve into some very negative conversations. So be careful with those. And if it's a closed group, it could even be free. It could be great as long as somebody is moderating that group and it's keeping it positive. And that's what you need to do. If you're new to this, by the way, and you're just getting started, one of the things that I can say is this: how to move forward quickly. Say you're the next generation pilot, or you're new and doing a career change, whatever that may be, start as early as you can. I mean, if you've made this decision, now start and start training. But also train smartly. Train smart. And what do I mean by that? When you're in your training, make sure you study your lesson plan. Make sure you have a syllabus. Make sure you have an idea of what's next on your next lesson. And be prepared for that lesson, because you not being prepared is going to cost you a lot of money. So that's what I mean by training smart. And then truly understand the lesson and truly understand the concept, and make sure you develop the skills that are necessary for that lesson. If you haven't and you need more training, then you ask. The other thing I want you to do right now, not just train smart, but I want you to start networking relentlessly. I want you to network as much as you can, because especially in this market, persistence truly pays, especially with networking. Because you need to get out there and constantly look for those people you might be able to see, or you might want to see by going to an area like an air show where that person might be. So there might be the chance of you meeting someone that's at that airline or an employer. You never know. I'll give you a good example. It just happened to me this morning. I actually, we have a thing called the Affordable Flying Expo that's right here in Lakeland, Florida. It's a great event, and it is a great place for networking. Well, I had a problem doing my, actually online, ban for my media credentials. And I actually just went over there and talked to somebody, and boom, I got media credentials right away. I never would have been able to do that unless I took that step onto the campus over at Sun and Fun and asked somebody, hey, can you help me? And that's what I mean. Sometimes you just have to reach out and say, I need some help. That's networking. Can you help me? Can you explain to me what it's like to do this? Can you explain to me how I can go about getting my media credentials? So these are little wins. And never discount any event where you're talking to other people, because you never, ever know who you might actually meet. But I will say this: if you do put all this energy into this career and you are persistent and you finally do get those interviews and you do get those jobs, or a job in aviation, it is really a cool job. I mean, you don't see these views from anywhere else in the world, sitting there on the flight deck, looking out over the expanse of this country and looking down at the lines that aren't there, that on a map usually are, that depict the different states, cities, towns. But it is truly a wonderful experience. It also gives you the ability to do travel, to meet new people. There are so many things, and we're going to talk about that in another episode. There are so many things out there, I think, that people really don't realize that is so special about this job. As a matter of fact, I'll talk about that at some point too, where, after 9/11, when I lost my job and I was furloughed, I was like, wow, I did not realize what I had until it was actually gone. But what I'm telling you is this: through persistence and perseverance, you can get to wherever you want. Constant networking. Get involved in mentorship groups just like we have at aviationcareerspodcast.com. You can click on mentorships. But make sure that each and every day that you take a step to move forward in your career and in your life. And that may be just researching something online, listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube video. But I know you will get to your destination sooner than you think. And one of the things you'll get is that interview. And I know it may be elusive, but persistence truly pays. We'll talk to you next episode. Safe flying out there.